Welcome back to Cypher SF. Today we'll be talking about the SPY, NASDAQ, Dow Jones, Bitcoin, the Strike Lightning Network, and the SEC. So, the SEC is the security exchange for anyone that doesn't know. I know a lot of people are still beginners. So, let's talk about what's going on in the markets. We had that at China and that was Evergrande. Honestly, it wasn't even a big thing. It's something that actually happened a few weeks ago, a few months ago, and they're just bringing it up now. It's very convenient for certain things to happen at certain times if you follow the market and the news. So the one of the things I can give you as a takeaway is make sure you always do your own research, and these markets are not as difficult to understand once you get into the process of seeing how it works in market structures. So to start off, we're going to start off with the S&P. And as we can tell, we had a drop here, a break of the support, which caused a further drop. And it started coming back up. Right now, we're at resistance. If we continue, which maybe it might not be the first point of entry, we might come back down here to like 440 and then shoot back up. We'll see what happens. But overall, it wasn't a bad entry. The RSI was pretty low. And as you can tell, like these levels were really good levels for entries, and you get a quick bounce, you get another bounce. We came down to the channel, one of the lower channels that we've been into before. Overall, it's a area where people get scared out of. So if we look at the price for the S&P overall, yeah, it would 5.5%. That would scare a lot of people in the stock market. In crypto market, not so much. That's just another day. Back here, we had the COVID crash, which was way oversold. And then as you can tell, we had a huge run up in the market. So let's take a look at the NASDAQ next. They're all pretty much going to be in a similar position. So we have the NASDAQ here. We had the support trending all the way back since March, which we broke down from. We're trying to test resistance. Are we over? It looks like we are over resistance for right now. We still need a confirmation, which means we need to come back and see if that'll hold. If it holds, we'll continue up. If not, we might continue somewhere a little bit lower. And then there's some certain price ranges that you can target. So these would be decent price ranges. If you want another indicator, you can even use these moving averages. So I do not think we come down here to the 200 moving average, but this 50-day is very possible. We may come back down to this 50-day moving average, or even this 20-day. But overall, the market still looks good in my opinion. Nothing to be concerned about. At least not yet. Like if we break this level, then yeah, you might want to be a little concerned about it. But overall, on the weekly, it looks like it wants to come back up, even though we were at these high levels, which is why I was expecting a drop in these next couple of days, which I said, when was it? A few weeks ago. And we finally got it. So this might be the drop that allows us to continue forward. We still have to see how it plays out. But once it closes with a test above the support level, then we should be seeing new highs. That's not to say it's the best entry point. The best entry point would have been somewhere around here on a longer time frame during the COVID crash. But you learn as you go. So hopefully you guys are taking notes or understanding the concept or indicators that I use to making better trades or making better decisions. So now we're taking a look at the Dow Jones. Same thing. We broke down out of the support. We're in this new channel. Bounced off that. We still have to see where we go. To continue up, we have to break above this. So let's see what happens in the next couple of days. On the shorter term, or let's say on the 1 day, which is not even that short, but we've done pretty well. Like I said, we broke out of the support in the S&P, out of resistance. We have to retest that, and now we got to retest this support on the 1 day on the Dow Jones. So overall, like I said, we're still in this trend. It's a lower trend, but it's also a room. It gives you room for opportunities to make more cash. if that's something you're interested in. It is volatile to an extent. Everything is volatile. You can't have any winnings or any gains without some sort of risk. Everything is a risk in life. Love, of course, meeting people, doing things out of your comfort zone, opportunities. Like nothing is going to be handed down to you. So if you want the feeling of security or a better understanding of how these market works, then the more knowledge we generally accumulate, the less we tend to fear of the uncertainty. So people are get scared because they hear the news, and like I said in another video of mine, the news gives you whatever they want to feed you. They feed you whatever you they feel like feeding you. It doesn't mean that it's supposed to be taken upon an emotional response. If you would have taken a rational, more long term, or a larger view response, you know, because we as humans tend to be reactionary creatures. Something happens and we react to it. And that is a trigger that other creature or other humans tend to use on us when we don't know. And it's funny because it happens on the masses. Like take a look at COVID. Take a look at when markets drop. Everyone wants to sell generally when it's a lower price point, or the majority at a lower price point, rather than buy these opportunities and then have it come back. Like you have these huge hedge funds that take huge bets all the time, and they're worth billions, millions and billions. So maybe the average person isn't conditioned to do things a certain way. That's something that we should look at as individuals to see if we can take future opportunities, because you never know what's going to happen in life. But if you can prepare, have a larger overview of how things are moving, then you won't be affected as much, or position yourself for better opportunities, better future changes or adjustments that can be made. So you know, it's always important to take a look at this stuff. We are not taught a lot of things in school that may be necessary. So I suggest you look into the stuff that we actually do need, like taxes, investments, understand your 401k, understand the difference between an IRA and a Roth IRA. It makes a big difference, trust me. So let's take a look at Bitcoin really quickly, and then we're going to jump into fundamental news, I guess you could say. This is all technical stuff. So same thing, we had the China FUD that kind of like dropped us down, which was fine. It was, you know, all part of the plan. But we hit support levels over here at about 39.5k. We bounced off of that. We've been trying to see which direction we're gonna go. I personally think we might come down lower for a last shakeout. That's, you know, completely my opinion. Either way, I still think we're at a pretty good price point as far as the RSI. I have other coins. If you guys want to check out what coins I have, you know, go to my Patreon. I'll leave a link down below. But for right now, let's move on. What happened to Bitcoin? So even though the price has gone down, fundamentally it's been more used. So El Salvador president tweeted this out. When was this? On the 25th. 2.1 million Salvadorians are actively using Chivo wallet. That's their crypto wallet that they use to transact in. Chivo is not a bank, but in less than 3 weeks, it now has more users than any bank in El Salvador. And I've also said this in another video. What's crazy about crypto and the new tech that's coming out, blockchain with it, is that you have the ability to have all these unbanked people from various parts of the world now become banked. The reason why I say that is because maybe to open a bank account there was discrimination on gender, or there was a discrimination of some sort, as well as you have it wasn't as accessible as far as location, or there were people in El Salvador that I believe drove maybe like an hour or two just to get to the bank, and then an hour or two to come back from the bank just to process transactions. Now, from, you know, your phone, you can be anywhere and then just, you know, take a payment or deposit, or, you know, there's a lot of adaptability, which makes it very unique. It's a very unique asset. and it's a new asset, which is why we do have a little pushback from the Security and Exchange, from different nations. Like we saw China banning Bitcoin again for the like 16th time since like 2013, I believe. But there's a lot of room for growth. There's a lot of room for opportunity if you can see it. But now we also have the Lightning Network on Twitter used by Strike, which you can like tip money to either influencers or just people in general. Right now, it's only available for iPhone. I'm not sure if it'll be available for Android later this year, but I'm sure it's coming. So this is really cool. So you can send money through Twitter using the Bitcoin's Lightning Network through to various parts of the world. So think about that. You do not need the middlemen anymore. You do not need the banks. You do not need the Western Union. And you are going to see some pushback. You are going to see some negative news. You are going to see some people against it. And that's part of innovation. That's part of disruption. It's completely natural. So it's very interesting to see how we're in the process of transitioning to a different stage of our system. And the reason I say that we're going to get a lot of push is, first of all, we have the Federal Reserve and was it the SEC kind of not being on the side of crypto. However, it's funny that these guys in positions of power, I'm not going to say benefited. Well, I'm not going to say they didn't benefit, because they did benefit. But what happened is they purchased stocks that later, when the government needed to fund the market and prop it back up, they actually bought those stocks that they kind of owned already, which was very convenient to try and help the average person, so the market wouldn't crash, which I find pretty funny, because we haven't had those regulations in crypto yet. We've had these huge swings over time. And every time it's survived. Like, we have these huge drops and then ups and then downs and then ups. So we have a lot of movement in a space that doesn't have any regulation, in a space that's deemed dangerous, yet people have been coming into the market more than exiting, I would say. So it's very interesting to see what they deem as protection when we're not allowed to invest in certain public offerings for stock. And what I mean by that is, like, if you see a potential investment that may increase your portfolio or may increase your value in money or capital, you can't invest in it unless you are an accredited investor, which means you have had to at least made $1 million, or you would have to have had at least $1 million in value, or at least $250,000 made within these last 2 years. And I think this year has to be like, you're on your way to 250,000. So the rules are extremely crazy, because to me, that just means that they believe that just because your net worth or your value is not as high as previous people, you should not have the necessary ability, intelligence, skill to make financial decisions. Yet people are allowed to gamble off their homes, their life savings at Vegas, and to me that doesn't make sense, because one is actually a gamble, while the other one, you can actually have data based on previous history. And it's just mind-boggling how like things like this happen, because we've had was it JP Morgan, Citibank, and Royal Bank of Scotland. I think like 2 others got charged with currency market manipulation a few years ago. We've had market manipulation for like gold and silver, and this is just crazy. It's just crazy. Yet they tell us one thing and they kind of do another. But this is why I hope we change our system. Right now, the Fed is looking to change the rules to keep the public's trust Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell on Wednesday said the central bank's current trading rules are insufficient and promised it would make changes. The Fed's current rules are now clearly seen as not adequate to task of really sustaining the public trust in us. So they want us to pretty much sustain or to keep their trust in them, when honestly I haven't had a trust with them for, I don't think, ever. I just didn't have like a way out. We were pretty much stuck in the system. So if you want to look for a different system with potential, the outing pretty much of our current system, then crypto may be one of them. And that's why it's so huge. And that's why regardless of volatility, it's only grown year over year over year. So here's a view for you. It's grown years over years over years. So I personally see it as a hedge against various I guess potential outcomes that we could have against our system, against the devaluation of the dollar. Gold has been dropping right now, not too much, but the biggest issue we had with gold was actually in the last 9 years. When was it, 2000, let's say 2012, it had this massive drop, and to be where you were back in 2012 you had to wait about 9 years. Right now it looks like it's on its way down again. However, I do not think we'll get to this point. I think we'll probably end up breaking to the upside, but just manage your risk properly, do the things that you need to properly assess, and make the best judgment that you can. And what you don't know, you should always look into. That's something I would suggest. Don't be that person's like, oh, that's not going to happen. Oh, no, he doesn't know what he's talking about. If someone doesn't know, or you believe someone doesn't know what they're talking about, go and find out if verify it, because just because the news tells you one thing doesn't mean it's accurate. Just because they want us to trust in them doesn't mean I will. And then we have a bunch of other political things which I'm not going to get into. But for now, that's some of the things that have been happening this week, some of my thoughts. Hopefully I didn't rant too long for you guys, but enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you next week. Peace.